Hi guys, let me look in my chat. I think the camera will be okay there. All right, so I was at a stream for Mary Altair, and something she said on, she was doing Society of Ideas, spurred this thought. So I have one quilt book left that I kept when I got rid of my fabric stash and my sewing machine. And I'm going to do something based on this book, but not with fabric. So let's let everybody kind of get in. Hi, Di. Hi, Jean. I'm gonna cut my last paper. I was cutting in Janet's during the last part of Janet's stream. I'm cutting 3x3 squares of paper, and I'll show you in just a second what I have set up. Why let everybody kind of get in. I'm gonna do one, and I'm doing about 4 3x3s of each paper. Okay. Hi, Joan. Hi, Dot. I'll use that paper cutter. So what I was saying to the people who came in first is I was watching a live stream that Mary Altair did, and she was talking about Society of Ideas and Dee Dee, and she was doing one of her mind mapping circles, and she was talking about taking an old craft and putting a new twist on it. So she was looking. You have buffering, Jean? Not Jean, but Dot. Does anybody else have a lot of buffering? Okay, good, Dot. So this is a quilt book by Jan Mullen, and it's not a traditional quilt book in that it's not super precise. The only thing that you start with precise, I've made this pinwheel one, and I'm trying to think. I've made a couple quilts from this book. I've had it for several years. And I think I made this Milky Way star, but I can't remember. But the only thing that you really start with precise is your outside square. That's the only thing that starts out super precise. So let me set that aside, and I'll show you the paper that I cut. I'm going to use jelly prints. And so the first thing I picked out was, wrong way. I can't get used to where I'm supposed to be on this. I had some buffering at Janet's, but not a lot. It was here and there. So I picked out some jelly prints that I thought would coordinate together for the purple. And then I have a set that I have picked out to go on a gray. And this is just regular size scrapbook paper that I'm going to use as my base. And I'm going to do like a 4x4 square inside. So I'm going to trim that so that the little tab is off. And then I'm going to take my papers that I've jelly printed and square them up, but lose the white edges. Now I'm going to measure a 3-inch strip and cut 3 by 3 squares. Now you could do this with any size original square. I don't have a big enough punch, but you could also punch, if you had a larger square punch, you could punch your squares. I was just trying to see what would fit in the mats that I have. And I'm cutting 4 of each paper because I'm going to have 4 finished squares. And the rest I'll just put back in my collage scraps. All right, so set that one. I'm just setting them to the side. I'll show you when I get them all. These are my fabrics. Basically, I'll save a piece like this, but I won't save that. Some of these are on map pages that I've jelly printed. So I'm trying to make sure that I have a squared off, like find one of the sides that is from the book. And this one's going to be a little darker than the other one's going to be brighter. All right, then I just need one more 3-inch square. This one definitely. This is just a way I was trying, another project that used my prints. I could with my Camico, but I don't have a, and it's a major pain. I'd rather just cut this way. All I cut on my Camico, the silhouette, is stencils. And usually what I'll do is cut enough until the blade is like no more. And then I wait until I need stencils again before I buy a new blade. So, yeah, Debbie won't be cutting any squares with her Cameo. And I will tell you, I do not have a lot of luck cutting paper on there. Especially, this is super thin paper. This is copy weight paper. This is not even scrapbook weight. Okay. the bottom off of that one. Though I will tell you, I could use a new blade on this too. But I'm almost done. And it didn't take long. And welcome to any of those of you who popped in. I haven't seen your name on chat yet. Hi, Sophia. Just need one more. I think sometimes there's certain pieces I like to try to get a balance. But I wasn't super picky about what part of the paper. I could have been. See, we're done with the 3x3 squares. You throw all those scraps away. All right. So these are the colors for this one, which actually appeal to me more. And I'm going to use my rotary cutter. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of each off my stack, and I really only need 4. I have a 5th one. It just gives me some more choices. Okay. And I'm just going to go rogue on this one. So I'm going to just make a slice here. Oh, probably 5 layers might be too much. All right, I'm going to save that to the side. I'll put these back together. Okay. So now what I can do is piece I have way more paper than I need. But if I like it, I'm going to make several. So I like that as a square. There's one. All right. 2. 3. And actually, I'm going to use this one over here. I lied. I'll put that there. There's 3. I have too many reds. I need a red up here. All right, so that's my combo with this one. I'm going to set that aside real quick. Now you could do a bigger piece and a more elaborate. All right. Well, actually, I am going to use the mat. Let me turn this sideways. Okay. And then we'll so that's how it'll go down. And then I had one extra square that I didn't end up using. I think the next one I cut, I'll cut maybe 6 so that I have more paper choices. All right. So I'm going to start out with, actually, I think I want to use, because this is that diamond, what paper is this? Let me see, I'll tell you. It's that heavier cardstock that has a sparkle to it. Basil cardstock. It's called Black Tie Gala. So it has some shimmer to it on the paper, but it has a little rougher texture. So I'm going to use these. I'm going to use this gloss gel because I think it'll go in those grooves a little better. And I'm just going to start with putting one in where I want it. And then take the next piece And, you know, you could measure this all out and put little tick marks, but I just don't do that. Actually, I think I want to. Now I'll use the one I had. I mean, this would be pretty done in a 6x6, just one of them in a mat. So that first one's in, and the paper's not taped in the mat. That'll come. Now you could also do more traditional quilt patterns. And you might need triangles and but you can follow some, you just wouldn't have seam allowance. Okay, no. Tay-Tay's got laundry again. She was sleeping until I turned the camera on. Maybe she'll come in here and behave. Tay-Tay. And I will tell you, this gel is sticking. They're sticking just fine. There's not a lot of move time. Hey, Tay-Tay. Yeah. Yeah, she came in the room. Some of the backs of these jelly prints with magicals are just as pretty on the back side as they are. Because I sprayed them with magicals and the jelly printed on the front. This one's not sticky enough here. Well, that's not, like I said, then I'll put that in a mat. I don't like it sideways as much. I like it this way rather than vertical. All right, let's do another one. We'll do one of the other colors. All right, let's take a green, a pink, purple. I'll take one of these that's lighter in color. And that purple. Okay. And this. So that gives me 6. We'll do a different. I want to do a really complicated pattern. Because you can work with triangles. I mean, that's what some of this is like squares in squares. We can try something similar to that. Okay, let's get the ruler. And let's cut these in half. So we'll have 1.5 rectangles. And then let's cut these in half. All right, so that'll give us squares. And then I'm going to take this 1.5 and make triangles. Let me just snip that one. All right, so that gives us See, this is kind of the one I did a play on. It's similar to that. I was thinking maybe one of the ones that could do a 9 patch. Okay, I'm just gonna get crazy and whack some triangles off of this one. And I'm gonna straighten those up again. I didn't plan anything as far as a pattern goes. I'm just going with the flow. All right, and let's see if we can't build something off of those. So there's this one needs something else. Okay. Might need another big triangle. Let's have plenty of little squares. I just need some bigger triangles. So let me cut another set of the I'm going to put a triangle on there. Just a second. Move that just so I have a little more room. I will tell you that when you have a whole bunch that you're cutting, a paper clip could help because they do want to move a little bit. I think I have a little bull nose clip. I'm going to bullnose them on one side. Bullnose them on the other side now. Like I said, a paper clip would be better. A little bit of pressure. Okay, now we have a lot of little squares. Do we want to build with the same triangle? See, I could have gone with a big square. Or do we want to make it, I think, different? But maybe continuity on the outside. You also could do a bow tie. Like this. You could also use just big triangles. To make a shape. So if you looked more closely at a quilt pattern, you could easily choose to just keep playing with the shapes to what you like. I could do 2 whole squares. With half squares. Oh, Xander's not on tonight? You could even be crazy and do something like a large rectangle, a square, and 2 triangles. And come up with your own. You just play with the shapes. Yeah, you could do you can do more traditional patterns easily. Flying geese are some of these triangles aren't the same size. Flying geese usually has triangles kind of in the middle. And then you use opposites to make your strips. These weren't all cut the same, so they're not. It'd be better to stick with a pattern. Like some of my triangles are not. So if I did that, and then I did that again, kind of like that, you get more like a flying. Yeah, you could use a tangigram pattern. The combinations are endless. You more wackadoodle because she doesn't use straight lines. She uses traditional patterns, but she doesn't, like, see, there's the flying geese. But she cuts them on purpose. So here, let me push these aside because these can all be used. We'll do a 9 patch because I think that'll be easier to glue. Like, I'm just saving all these pieces can be, those squares and triangles can be used. So I'm going to cut 2 of the pink because I really like the pink. And 2 of the matte. I just think I like choices. Okay. It's kind of like the one I just did. Okay, so she cuts that wonky there. And she cuts another one. Now, unlike fabric, it will shift on you. Okay, and then we're going to go. Getting the pieces that cut. I'm going to have to trim again. And this one didn't. This didn't cut all the way through either. And then this one will be wonky. Actually, I think it needs to be wonky this way. Now I've lost my. Just a few of these I'll need to clean up where I didn't push hard enough. It goes like that. And this goes like that. Okay, let's get rid of these big squares. All right. This time, I think what I'm going to do, this has got some like fuzz on it. I think I'm going to measure in and make like a 3x3 square to put the glue on and approach it a little differently. As the pieces are really tiny. Okay, let's put this. I'll try it that way for the first square and see how that works. Move this up. Okay, and I am gonna start with this pink in the corner, and then I'm gonna put a green, and then kind of a purpley teal. My square must not be, I must not have measured 3x3 very well, because that's not coming out 3x3. But I'm thinking I may butt these up next to each other. And this one I did a little more traditional color-wise. So that's their 9 patch. So let's try a pink. Let's just work off of this one right here. Let's try pink right there. Let's do the strip right here. And let's just butt it up right next to it. See, this must be upside down. It does help to dry fit them probably. That's got to have been upside down. Because I've shifted them a little. That might have been slightly larger. All right, let's do the middle strip now. Well, there's something slightly off one of these pieces. That's the problem. Is right in here. This one's too small, but I can fix it later. But the smaller your pieces are, the harder it's going to be. And it's important then you probably keep them straight, and I didn't really, I let my piles get messed up this time. So you can see, and I would have to cut, if I were going to continue this pattern, I would probably cut more map. I'm not sure I like the really small pieces. If I were going to do this pattern again, I would probably work in a larger than a 3x3. See, I think these pieces are cut. Some of these pieces are just cut smaller for some. Wait a minute. Let's try this. I'm just playing. Awesome. Let's try this. Let's see if this doesn't match up. I may have turned that one on the bottom wrong. Yeah, that's not going to work. It had to be right. It's just these pieces are cut short on one side. All right, well, I don't like this. I'm just not going to use a third one. What I'm going to do is, I'm happy with this. Happy enough. I'm just going to cut this out to save. And I'll use this as an element on a page. Or I could just frame this by itself. You know, like if it were, actually this one's frameable. Like in a little 5x7 frame, and it just had that on black, I think would look pretty. But I do think that you need to, when you cut it, little paper clips would help, because if you could have them clipped together so they didn't move on you, that if you're going to do really little pieces, that would help. When you're working 3x3, what we're going to do is let's try some Mod Podge. I'd also I'm getting too sticky with this. Let's try. Playing with this and seeing what we can get just playing with some of the abstract pieces. Some of the and I'm just making up. I'm not doing anything specific. I'm just making it up as I go. It's upside down. But I sort of have a house. I'm just building on the piece of paper. I'm just playing. You could also use like markers over or stamps to make a quilting. Let's try. My triangles aren't cut the same. Darn it. So maybe it's not even something like traditional. In that sense. I could have put, instead of the pink, if I put that there, then you get more of like a flying geese. And I was just randomly picking things. What it needs is, it needs this. It needs another pop of this dark. Up here. And maybe even right here to replace. Didn't have enough of that dark. So I like that better. And again, I'm just going to cut this. I don't really like it on the purple in the end. I'll throw that away. That's all real super sticky. But I like something like that. And then mat it. This one you could hang vertically or horizontally. But like I'm happy with that. And I was just, like I said, just playing with shapes. And where this one here could be cut, where there's that gap, you could do something like this too. And intentionally have a gap in the pieces. But I would probably make it, I would probably sign it so it was vertical. And you could even go crazy and give these a wonky angle. so that they look like they're one piece. That was kind of sliced. So I'll probably put those like that. This one needs to be shaved over on the edge. I think this one needs more of an angle. Not sure about the top piece. Yeah, I mean, it's just a way to use. You could use scrapbook paper. You would not have to use jelly prints if you don't have a jelly plate. I would recommend now doing it. If you're going to do anything complicated, I would work larger first, like a 6x6. You could even go crazy and because you have to think of it sort of abstractly. You could choose. That's not the circle I thought I was picking up. Just a second. Sad when you have more than one little circle on your floor. Actually, you know, you could even go in and put other non-quilt shapes in. Let's try something. None of these are gonna. Let me look for something dark. So you could even go in and do, I lost my other little, oh, there it is. You could go in and do another geometric shape. Over it, or, you know, laying in it. That might even be too big. To give it more interest. It might be interesting to stamp on something. So like, I don't think I have one small enough. I don't have a lot of really small. I don't have a lot of stamps that are. I'm opening a set of stamps that I just got. So like if that were like smaller, you could have a quote stamped in something. You know, you could do other pieces to make it more abstract. One of the things I like to work with sometimes is I just cut wonky circles and then I cut another wonky circle. Because sometimes I like rings. This hole punch is too big. But you get the idea, like to keep, if you wanted it more abstract, you could keep playing with other shapes. Depending how busy your pattern was, the quilt pattern that you picked out. Now, all these pieces I didn't use, I'll just put in a baggie and use them at some point. I probably will not do anything to this, though I wouldn't mind a little bee right here. If I had a little bee, I would. I have a little bee. I just don't think it. I think it's at school. I'm pretty sure it's still at school. It's one of those long pencil-like, and it's really tiny. I mean, you could even combine these in some way, you know. But that's, like I said, I didn't work too closely with the patterns in the book. I just used the idea that she doesn't cut straight and she uses a quilt pattern. My takeaway is if you're going to have a lot of little pieces, to have small clips or paper clips before you cut. Cutting like this worked just fine. But it's when they came apart and you had lots of little pieces that seemed to be a few issues. It was easier when it was bigger cuts. And just to have color choice combos, I would definitely cut a few more than you need. Especially if you have a, like I probably had too much red in this one and not enough dark. Like this could almost be used in this one too. But it's just like picking fabrics for a quilt. Now, if you use scrapbook paper, the fact that there's a set could make it go really fast. You know, I'm trying to think if I have a baggie somewhere. Let me put these. Try and get rid of these little pieces of paper. Put them right here. So let's look at if you had scrapbook paper. Okay, there's one. There's two. 3, 4, 5. Let's try those 5. And then we'll just throw them on the ground. I actually like that one too. Need some. Oh, there it is. All right, so let's cut. I'm going to keep it simpler. And I can't cut all those at one time. So. And I could use my rotary cutter to cut the 6x6 too. I'm going to cut it 6. Actually, I'm going to do 8. I lied. I'm going to go even bigger. It's going to have to be 6x6 because that's too big. It won't fit in the mat, but 6x6 will. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3. Get rid of the scraps. And I don't think I'm going to use that black. So let's try that 9 patch again. And all I have right now is bull nose clips. And they don't work as well as paper clips would. gonna take one of those bull nose. I'll cut this again. I'm cutting with the wrong hand. Also, if you stand up, it's much easier to use. Okay. There'll be a little difference in some of those. I think I'm going to use my scissors. I'll try to make them more extreme on the cuts. All right, let's get just a regular piece of paper to glue on because it'll be easier. And I'm just going to start in one corner. Get a bigger glue brush. Okay, I'm going to take and I'm not worrying about if it's straight on the paper because I'm going to take it off this paper. Okay. Now, I will say this probably is more likely to match your house and look scrapbooky and less artful, probably, than jelly printed paper. because this paper's buckling. This one's also needs to be trimmed just slightly. So it needs to be trimmed slightly too. And I'm not worried about if they overlap slightly. But it was much easier to do in the 6x6 square. I know it's still making that autofocus joke. It's all those lines and dots and so you can do it with scrapbook paper. And it was easier to do the 9 square pattern. Wonky with larger. You might want more than. I almost wished I'd had one more print to go in a couple places. Almost would have been better with like another print right here and here. Now, I don't know that I would use that one kind of as is, but it could be a base for a artful evidence, possibly. But it is a little bit easier with the larger pieces. And it could still have an impact if you framed it. If I were going to frame this one, I would probably frame it in an 8x8 frame rather than a rectangle. The other possibility I think I would do is possibly put something else in the middle on like a pop dot or something, possibly. I don't know. No, I wouldn't use a white mat either. This is just what I have done. I'm just saying that this piece could easily be matted and framed just like a little 6x6. But if I were going to mat this, I would mat it 8x8 and I would use an 8x8 frame. On this one, I would go brown. The other thing I think I would probably do on this one was when it was dry, I would probably go in with the pip marker in brown on the seams and blend it. Let me let it dry and I'll show you what I mean. It's just got to dry before I touch it. So I'm just going to put a brown line right there and kind of smudge it. It's not moving very well. And you get the idea. So you could go around and sort of blend it. You could use like vintage photo in the distressed ink line too. Hi, Kathy. So, like I said, it's okay in Scrapbook. I will probably do something with this one. I wouldn't just use it as is. That's just me. This one I like really well that came out. I think it has I like it with the natural jelly prints. And I will definitely probably take and frame this one. And I will probably do something with that little trio that we had. I just don't like. Keep cutting. This piece, but I can't get enough on angle. I may need to just make a different piece for the top. Or maybe I like that it's bigger, medium, smaller. I just can't get the right angle on that one. So I'll probably make another piece. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the book that I was showing was Cut Loose Quilt Patterns by Jan Mueller. It's an older quilt book because it's been a long time since I quilted. Published in 2001. I'm sure you can still find it on Amazon and other sites. And hers is more wacky. It's not straight lines. It's not traditional quilting. Yeah, I think this needs to be a new piece that the angle can be cut right. Is what all that means. This one, like I said, if I do anything, it will be fine. Like it might be the back of a piece and do some kind of piece and put in the middle. But this one, I don't personally, it's too decorator, not artsy enough for me. Because all the patterns are just perfect. And not grunge like, you know. It can't compete with when you get just the randomness. But that was it that's all I had today. Ready. That's what I was working on. It was just an idea. I had gotten it again. It was an idea I had from a discussion we had on Mary's channel. But the first one we did, I liked the best. This one I will definitely mat. Yeah, you sewing girls would be even better. Like I said, I just sort of start winging it. I didn't have a true plan. Small paper clips would work to help keep the pieces together. If you could clip it on all the sides where you were going to make cuts. And I would say cut more than you think you're going to need so that you have choices. And like I said, those little pieces of paper, they'll get used here and there. Kathy, when are you going to stream? We need a stream, Mama Kay. For those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Just fast forward through any of the little boring talk parts. Jean, did you hear me tell you on Instagram, Sally Allnock did a water glass just like yours, but she did it in turquoise. She must have looked at the same reference photo. It was a little video on Instagram yesterday. Yeah, if you don't follow her, she's really good. It's Allnock. She does some coloring with Copic markers, but she also does some watercolor. Yeah, she has she posts a lot on Instagram. She does a lot of cute cards and stuff. But she also does she went to Puerto Rico just recently, and she's done some really nice watercolors. Yeah, yeah. I like Instagram because I can like it without um getting 101 notifications. That's my issue with Facebook sometimes, is if you leave a comment or you like it, then if it's really a popular post, you'll just get all these notifications on it. I don't follow as many people on Twitter. That's more to me about talking to you guys. And Instagram's more visual for me. Yeah, we missed you, Kathy. Yeah, I would say that I don't. Yeah, the only problem with turning off the notifications is you go up and you say turn off notifications for this post, and they still send them to you. You still get them, or I do, on Facebook. And I'm on my phone all the time on Facebook. I mean, I use Facebook, but I like responding more on Instagram. My Facebook is probably more my friends and family, like local, and my real family. There's art people on it as well. Twitter's just art people. That's all and Instagram, for the most part, is just art people that I follow and that I post. I don't post personal things on Instagram or Twitter. I don't post personal things a whole lot on Facebook either. All right, guys, I'm going to go and see what Bob is up to. I think we're grilling a steak tonight for dinner, maybe. I will no Xander tonight. So I'll see you people tomorrow, probably. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow or not. We'll just see. I have projects on my desk. I always have projects, but